Hi folks, I'm Ormie King and welcome to Talkin Sports. This is our very first issue that we're doing today, and we're lucky to have with us a legend of Port Byron and Auburn and my great pal, Gino Alberici. Gino, welcome.
Thank you, Ormie. It's a pleasure, and I'm very happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. We're going to try and walk you through your life today, Gino. So could you tell us a little bit about your parents and how life began for you?
Well, I grew up down on the West End.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up on Wood Street and had two great, loving parents. Both my mom and dad immigrated from Italy, and you know, their big concern was you be a good person, a God-loving individual, and do the right things. Athletics was not anything that, you know, let's
Not a priority of theirs.
why don't you try this sport or that sport? You know, again, as I reiterate, it was basically do the right thing, be a good person, and then everything else will take care of yourself. So it was a very in the 50s. In the 40s, for me, it was a very uncomplicated life.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I have two siblings that are male and two that are female, and my two sisters and my two brothers, and I happen to be 12 years the younger.
Right.
And my brother Bruno was an outstanding baseball player, softball player, baseball player. Caught the likes of Monk Curtin and
Hall
a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
But as a youngster, after the World War II, I can remember my brother being home, and after supper he'd bring me out into the driveway, and we would play catch, and I would pitch, and then as fall came, we had a football and a big barn, and I would try to, seldom did it happen, but kick it and try to get it over the barn. So that's where
Your kicking career started?
my kicking career started, but all attributed to my brother Bruno.
Bruno, I have to tell you this, Gino, that we honored Monk Curtin with our very first Hall of Fame game in softball. And that particular night, there were four catchers there that used to catch Monk. One was Bud Painter, one was Bruno, the other was, Chesty Call, thank you, and the last one was Babe Sennett. And we took a picture that night, and if you see my fingers, every one of those guys had broken fingers because they caught Monk, and it was a classic, just a classic photo. I wish I still had it, but when you say Bruno's a terrific guy and a terrific athlete.
It's a great guy, and of course I have a sister that's Ann, who's 94, and still living. Bruno's 90.
Wow.
And I have a sister, Renee, that passed, and brother Les that passed.
Wow. Did he go to Notre Dame?
And he went to Notre Dame, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
So he was a big fan of Notre Dame, and how he would
It happens.
make sure every year, I think we went 50 years in a row to some game that Notre Dame played.
Now, your family home, was that down on Wood Street?
Wood Street.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Down on 18 Wood Street, and my dad worked at Columbian Rope.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was a homemaker and canned everything.
Did she? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you ate good then?
Oh, yeah, yes, we did.
Good,
Everything
you
was
know.
canned. And all you got to do is look.
Yeah. Me too. I have the same problem.
And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, she canned everything, and again, a huge garden in the back with all kinds of goodies.
As a kid growing up, did you have like playgrounds that you went to?
Actually, we did. Went to
Mostly.
Sherwood Playground, which was actually you got through on Delvin Street, so
Right.
it was like a block over.
All right.
And I ended up being
The director, weren't you?
older
I thought so.
playground director, but we also in those days they did not have the Little League and Pony League and all that.
They weren't
which
around
they-
yet. Yeah.
So basically, you traveled to different playgrounds to play games. You know, your gang would play
Right.
there. You know, you go to the Y, you go Casey.
It's a big thing back then.
Oh yeah, it
Big
was.
thing, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Capitol Street, and so we
So that's where your sport started then?
Well,
really,
that's,
probably,
right.
Yeah.
We'd drag our
Competition
bats
amongst-
and
yeah.
balls and gloves, and
Yeah.
I think probably a director was the umpire. And, one of the big highlights was in those days was they had a bicentennial all-star game, playground.
Okay.
And,
That must have been in '48, right?
right, and I was the pitcher.
Okay.
I had, now, mind you, very, very wild, so I'm sure
That's
The
hard to
bat-
believe, Gino. That's hard to believe. So.
I'm sure the batters were, just swinging and get out of there at that age. At that age. But I think I probably, I think I had 10 strikeouts and probably 10 hits batsmen and 10 bases on ball.
That's a complete game,
So-
Gino. That's a
so,
complete
yeah,
game.
yeah.
So.
I don't know. If it's something like bowling, you get 700 out here. Here you get
That's great.
10 for 10.
That's great.
But anyway, yeah, that, and everything else was sandlot.
Right.
You'd play on, the fields down at Genesee Street School in those days. And so-
Lots of fields around back then.
Yes, it was.
No question about it.
And, I
Where
was
did
at
you first go to school? Grade school?
Genesee Street School,
Genesee? Yeah.
kindergarten through 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, that's as far as Genesee Street School went.
Right.
Then you had to go to Jane Street, which is presently the
It used to be Old Community College, right?
Community College, which
Right.
is also part of the post
Now it's our
office,
post office, yeah.
for 5th and 6th grade, and then back to West High for
Okay.
junior high and then high school.
Oh, okay, great.
So,
West High was noted for paddles. Could you
oh
kinda
yeah.
fill me in on paddles?
Yes,
As to what,
fortunately I evaded, other than once I evaded, having to get paddled.
hard to
but-
believe, Gino, only
Oh,
once.
boy, I know. But, yes,
Tell me this, between Bo Kelly and,
Ed Black,
Ed Blatz, who do you think had the biggest stroke?
well, people that were exposed to Bo, if that's the word,
They were
thought that Ed Blatz had the
the upper hand,
he said it was all wrist
all wrist.
and holes in the paddle, and, the whole works.
And he was about half the size of Bo Kelly back
Oh,
then, as I
yeah, oh, yeah,
recall.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It
But
was all in
he,
his wrist, so, yeah.
So they all paddled, and that was the nature. And
Does that mean we were cutting up a little bit back then, or would you?
well,
what would you say?
I would think probably not to the extent that I see today.
You're right.
That I hear about today, but.
No, you went on to be a teacher. Did you ever have to reprimand a child at all?
yeah.
or-
Yeah, there were certainly occasions where I had to do that, and
Hard to believe, isn't it, Jim?
it was one-on-one, and they, I think understood what the message was.
Now, when did you start in high school as far as playing ball? You started right in your freshman year and went all the way through?
basically in those days they had no modifying.
Right.
So started freshman, and I think freshman year we had over 100 kids that went out for football.
It's amazing.
Because remember, there was no,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you didn't have all the sports that
Yep.
we have
Today.
available today.
Yep.
I mean, in the fall you played football or cross country,
Right.
and it was all male sports.
Right. Yep.
And then the winter was basketball or wrestling.
Yep.
And baseball, you had tennis, track, and baseball. But
Right. You played all three, though, right? The
Yes,
basic three, right?
yes.
Yeah. Good,
and
yeah.
I was very fortunate because in those days you played freshman, then you played
JV.
JV, and then
Right.
your last 2 years you played varsity. And Auburn kind of struggled in '51, so they ended up 4-4. We ended up 4-4, but
Right.
Coach Dean brought me up. I started as a defensive tackle that year.
Oh, great.
Then the next year I started as a right guard.
Tremendous guy, wasn't he? Tremendous guy.
Coach
Without
Dean
a doubt.
was
Yeah.
the very best.
Yep.
You know, when you talk about shining lights in this world and people
Yep.
who impact someone,
Yep. That's true.
he certainly was a gentleman.
Do you remember we had the dinner for him?
Yes.
And it was his 90th birthday, and we had 400 people who showed up to honor him that night.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. That's what people thought of him. It's
Yeah.
just a terrific guy. Yeah.
And again, you know, there's shining lights, I think, all around us
You all right?
that have affected all of our lives.
No
But
question about it.
this gentleman certainly had a great effect
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
on my life. And
Yep.
I mean, as my parents and siblings were shining lights, so too am my family right now, which we haven't even talked about.
And you also played basketball, right?
Basketball.
And we're fortunate today to still have Paul Quigger
Yes,
in our
you know.
community. Here he is, 94 years old, God bless him, and still going strong. So,
And,
That's great.
and of course, in those days, you know, they didn't have the size people that they have today.
right.
And I was one of the bigger guys,
Yeah.
and used for rebounding. I wasn't a shooter, but today I would be.
I'm sure you could do it all.
Well,
Gino.
I'd
I'm
be
sure you
dwarfed.
could.
I would be dwarfed, but.
But going back to your high school football now, you're avoiding the fact that I think you were a two-time All-American, if I'm not mistaken, in high school. Am I right?
I did make the high school All-American team my senior year.
In your senior year, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was named, and it's, I'm in the upstage here, but prior to that, I was named to they didn't call it All Central New York, they called it All Central, Northern, and Southern. Basically, wherever the Herald Journal circulation
I see, as part of that.
went.
Right. Well, good.
And not that I've, but I think
It's a nice compliment to yourself, though.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I think then you go on from there, and then you went on to St. Francis Prep?
Right.
Then you kind of blaze a trail there that a lot of other guys from Auburn followed
Yes,
up with?
yes, that was, I was fortunate enough to be recruited and obtain a scholarship. They were trying to build their programs,
Right.
which I did.
Right.
I mean, we had an undefeated season my senior year. I went to St. Francis Prep in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, and had
An undefeated season there, too,
there.
so you had 2 in a row. So,
Right.
Yeah.
But, yes, I went there, Leon Matthews, and then
And John Hurling over
John
there.
Hurling, General
Duke McGrath.
Duke McGrath, Dave Delastrito,
Right, yeah.
John Delaney,
Quite a following.
Tony Cacciati was married to Valerie.
So it was a great
Harper.
feeder program.
Yeah,
for them.
so
Yeah, absolutely.
they
yeah.
all went. But you're gonna.
Oh, the other thing, Gino, is you're not familiar with this, but this was a photo of Gino, and the question back then was why did Gino be standing in the shower having in complete uniform, And according to this, many guys there said that Bo Dean told Gino to go hit the showers, and he took them literally. So, but that's a great photo, Gino.
Yes. And the fact of the matter on that one.
Well, why did you get your picture in the shower?
Well, that was the photo that the Herald Journal used, just the top.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was named, to the All-Northern Central Southern New York All-Star team, Steve Tarby, who was a photographer.
Right.
I
Yep.
don't know if you remember Steve.
Oh, I remember him well. Yeah.
Anyway, Steve came up as November, late November, because remember we played,
Right.
through Armistice Day. So he comes out, and it might have even been December, and where we're going to take the picture. So I don't know. I think maybe Coach Dean said, well, probably the only place we've got is in
The locker room.
in the shower room there, or the entrance to the shower room. So here I am, with a football jersey, which wasn't mine. I wore number 46, but a makeshift, outfit, because most of it was sent out to be recycled.
a great shot.
Not recycled, but refurbished. And so anyway, that's where I was, and of course, I think you were the one that jumped on that.
No, I wouldn't do that to you, Gino. You know I wouldn't do that. So.
With your sense of humor, I'm sure you.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I know. My wife tells me that every day. So.
So you.
That's a great shot of you, though.
Yeah, thank you. Now you jumped on that,
Yeah.
and that is
Now, after St. Francis, you went on to Holy Cross, didn't
Holy
you?
Cross.
And you had a good career
Yes.
there. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got a football scholarship there.
Enjoyed it, I'm sure.
I was either going to go there, Indiana, and who also offered me, and or they were the two finalists, and Jack Guerin was a big influence. Ed Nolan, who I had for Latin,
Mm-hmm.
to go to Holy Cross, and I have no regrets. It was a great move, and certainly many great memories, and I feel I got an excellent education there. So,
From there, then you head to Port Byron at some point in time, and that's where you started coaching, but not in football there, right?
right now, when I graduated, actually I had an opportunity to go to remember Bullis Prep?
I remember the name.
There was
but-
Manlius who fed the West Point,
Right.
and Bullis Prep fed the Naval Academy.
Okay.
And then they also had like a high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an opportunity to go there, and I already had the Port Byron job.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to call and tell them definitely Dana West, who was a great principal,
Right.
that I have to take it, or that I'll take it. So when I went, and you gotta stay in the dorm, you're in there not only teaching,
Right.
but 24/7, you're in the dorm monitoring the students. I said, I'd like to have, young single man, I thought I wanted a little more liberty than
I understand.
having to.
But speaking of that, you weren't single for long, because didn't you meet somebody in the hallways there at Port Byron that kind of caught your eye?
Very, yes.
And hasn't she become the love of your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The former Maxine Randall taught home economics, and she was at one end of the hall and I'm at the other,
Mm-hmm.
and the aroma of things that were cooking in that home
That got to you, I know that.
and, I would go down there and, boy, does that smell good. Is there anything, you've got any extras? No, these are students. And I said, there must be. So out of the kindness of her heart, the students, I guess, let Mr. Alberici have. So I ended up getting, cookies, cake, whatever there was. And so that just led to I guess friendship.
Friendship. That's a great word.
Originally.
I'm sure she'll love you for that
Oh,
one.
no, developing.
She'll love you for that one. Yeah.
Developing. Actually, I think she rejected me 99 times when I asked her out. Finally.
Persistence.
No, but there you go.
Persistence.
Anyway, no, we've been married just to a wonderful, wonderful lady for 51 years. And Maxine has really been a very great strength in my life. And I joke with people because he said, you know, how come you never play golf? And
Not enough hours in a day.
being away as much as I was coaching, you know, I tell the guys, I said, you know, I'd probably be going through 6, 7, 8 wives because I was never home, you know, because of
coaching.
Of coaching,
Yeah.
right.
That,
But no, she.
but she gave you 6 treasures, didn't she?
Yes, yes.
Can you mention those 6 treasures?
Yes,
too?
I'll tell you, I've got 6 wonderful, just great children that I love and adore. And they have got wonderful spouses. I will mention them to go into detail in all their lives.
I understand.
We'd have to come back a second or third
I understand.
time
No,
for taping.
Yeah.
But
They did
and they're
most-
all Jays. They're all
Right.
Jays, and as they say, they all have wonderful spouses. And I've got 17 grandchildren. But
Oh.
the oldest is Jim,
Uh-huh.
and they all have middle names. James, Gino,
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all JG
Yeah,
through
yeah.
the 6 kids?
and
Wow.
Joanne Lippert, Joanne Alberici Lippert. We didn't give her a middle name so she could use her
I see.
last name as, you know.
So all you ever had to do was holler out JG and somebody would come running. You didn't
Yeah,
care who it was, right?
Well, guess what?
Right.
There's another story.
Smart idea,
attached to
Gino.
that. And then there's John Gerald, Joseph Gerard,
Right.
Jeffrey Gregg,
Okay.
and Jason George.
Okay.
And funny thing is, you know, I would, obviously they're 9-year apart, and they might get into a little mischief.
No.
And once in a while, and I'd say, you know, I'd call one of them and say, Dad, I'm standing right here. You're not the one I want. So I'd go through the whole litany of
Which JG is
J's
it?
until I finally got the one I wanted. But no, they're just great young individuals, and they have done very well for themselves.
Yep.
And as they say, they've also done very well as far as having wonderful spouses. So
Oh, that's great. You can't ask for more than that, Gino.
that's right.
No.
That's right. And as they say, 17 grandchildren who are
Yep.
just spectacular. They're great.
Now, you enjoyed a wonderful night that they gave to you over at Port Byron where they named the field after you, and so rightfully so. And just tell us a little bit about what that night meant to you. So, and you might want to mention just a few of the ball players that you had over the years too. that,
Okay. Yeah,
'cause you've had an awful lot of good ball players over
all
there.
right. Or yeah, we could do that. Or you know, I'd like to
Whatever you'd like.
I'd like to backtrack.
You can backtrack and do anything you want. Mr.
Because
Chairman.
I'll tell you what, we did have great success, and attributed to a great group of young men, every single one of them.
Mhm.
And each of the 32 teams that I coached made a contribution. And you know, it's almost, if I start mentioning names, I'm sure I'm going to
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand.
miss some, and it's not fair because
No, I understand. Not a problem.
But there were some, funny things along the way.
Right.
My first coaching job was at Port Byron was, believe it or not, soccer.
Soccer.
And Dana West said, Gino, and being a first-year teacher, we don't have anyone to coach soccer. And I said, I don't know anything about soccer. So he gave me a book about that big. And between the book and the kids coaching me, we had a
Season.
a successful season. And then, but he did tell me he would have me in football.
Mm-hmm.
So the next year I served as an assistant to Dick Castro.
Okay.
And the third year I became the head coach.
Okay.
And
Did he stay on as basketball coach here, Gino? Dick Castro?
Dick,
I know he coached a few years there.
yeah, I think he did, and then, I don't know, not my first year. I think he went into officiating.
Didn't he just pass on a couple
Yes,
of years
he
ago or
did,
something?
yes,
Yeah,
he did.
that's what I thought, yeah.
So we had some very interesting things that transpired. As I say, we were fortunate. We had two 20 regular season 23-game winning streaks, and then I also coached basketball, which 69-70 we won football and then the basketball championship.
You won both?
We won both of them the same year.
Wow,
And I said,
that's a pretty good year.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
time
pretty
to
good
get
year.
out of one or the other, and I obviously got out of basketball.
Right.
But
Football was your main love, right?
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a couple of cute stories, I guess, to relate over the years. Remember that same year we won the basketball championship, 69. We won the basketball in 70, but 69, 70.
Right.
But that same year, we ended up 8-0.
Wow.
That was part of our 23-game winning streak. We lost the very first game, 3 years earlier, and then
Right.
won 23 in a row. That was the first one.
It's a pretty good run.
But anyway, my wife tells me at the end of the last game, and this was the old Cuba County League, and we won pretty handily the first 6 games.
Right.
And then the 7th game, we play this Manlius, not their prep school, but the high school kids who were
Right.
equally good,
Right.
and they were 5-1, and we were 6-0. So we really had a barn burn one. We ended up winning 32-26.
Wow.
So now we're 7-0. We're playing this West Canada Valley, who comes down
From Canada.
from West Canada, whether up in the Mohawk or Herkimer,
Right.
wherever they are,
Right.
and they won their championship. So we're down 19-6 at the first half, and we, by the grace of God, I guess, we won 25-19.
Nice comeback, Gino. Nice
So
comeback.
we're 8-0, and these 2 guys are walking off the field. My wife happens to be behind them, and they make the comment, "Whew, that poor barn is really going downhill." It's a good thing the season's over with. So anyway, they paid their dues, so I guess fans can.
Don't you love it,
Yeah.
Gino? Don't you love it? Oh,
I think if you're gonna remain in coaching, or if you're gonna coach, you
yeah, you have
really
have a
got to
hard
have
shell.
big shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you let things start to,
Oh, they wear you
Good
down
deal,
after
yeah,
a while.
well, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you just let that go.
You and your wife both have given a tremendous amount of time back to this community, and you're volunteering, and I just thought maybe you could touch on that a little bit as to
Yes.
some of the things you've done. So.
Well, Maxine and I believe it was '09, we headed up the United Way campaign,
Right.
which we're very pleased with, turned out very successfully for us. Maxine's on community preservation. She's on a number of boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been, I've also been on a number of boards, the Y
Mm-hmm.
Board of Directors, presently
Great.
County Parks and Trails Commission, and
I know you've been heavily involved, so that's
Sacred Heart Parish Council, Hall
Yep.
of Fame. There's a number of them,
Yep.
and the same thing with, Maxine, she's been with, and we've been with hospice, and
right.
so just a little bit to,
Good for you.
give back.
Gino, I know that you know that you've had a lot of funny moments in your life, but can you share a couple with us of some of the funnier things that have happened to you?
That was
That
fun,
can
but-
be told.
Yeah. Well, one of them, in earlier days, many of the young men that played also worked on farms,
Mm-hmm.
family farms, and they hunted. Hunting was, a big thing.
Big thing.
So it was the beginning of pheasant season. That's when I guess pheasant were abundant. And this, and not just one, there's like 5 of them that went hunting.
These were players of yours,
Yeah,
Gino?
opening day on a Monday.
Okay.
So they come back, and this, Joey Musador, I don't know if you know
I know Joe very well.
and Nicholson, and hey, coach, catch it, and they were very good. They'd bring me, or Joe especially,
Right.
would bring me pheasant, and they would be cleaned and the whole works. So he brought the pheasant, pheasants, and I put them down in the home ec refrigerator, while we go
Right.
to practice, and we go to practice, and practice is over. And so I said, all right, Musador, Nicholson. Yeah, I listed off the guys
Right.
that when hunting, I said, you all owe me 10 lamps. And Joe relates this story. One of the guys says, we brought them pheasants, and they had SOB makes
Run
us
10 lamps.
run lamps after we bring them pheasants, and we cleaned them. But anyway, yeah. And of course, we used to have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's great.
We had a lot of. One day, it was, and early on, if you drank water. Today they encourage it.
Right.
But if you remember, early on,
Right.
there was a sign of mental toughness. If you didn't drink water and if you refrained from it. In fact, I had times when, the manager would go out with a bucket of, go ahead, get out of here, go on back. That was a mentality. So it was early summer and it was really hot. And one of the custodians was washing all the windows outside the old school. And he had one of these extenders,
Squeegees or, yeah.
so, where the water comes down. And I asked him, I said, look, when we take a break, I'm going to bring the whole team over, and I want you to wash them all, spray them all down. So they didn't know what to make of it because
They loved it.
No water, but here they are. They're getting all sprayed
down.
and
That's great.
and of course it was early on, so
Right.
you couldn't wear
Right.
your shoulder pads in, the whole works. Yeah. So
Would that come under child abuse at all, or?
we'll spraying them down.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
they
I wasn't
loved
sure.
it.
Okay.
No, they loved it.
Oh, okay. I
They
wasn't sure.
didn't know. And I would tell them every day, gentlemen, it's another day on which to excel.
That's right.
And some of them, still,
Is that your motto?
still,
Kinda?
a lot of them,
Yeah.
I told them that. And actually, and I don't know if this is getting a little philosophical, but
You're entitled.
but I would tell them, there's 3 things that I think are very important that you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, don't be afraid to tell your parents you love them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
2, be good to the girl you date. She's somebody's daughter. And 3, go to church, whatever church it is. That's your business, but you need to be spiritually sound.
That's 3 great things.
Yeah, and I would tell them that. And so, I attempted to impart some of the life's lessons and
Into it.
things that needed to, victories were very important.
Right.
Let's face it, that's why you played.
Right.
But, I'd always ask them, what do you want to do in 10 years? Where do you want to be? What are your expectations?
Right.
And, hey, let's face it, you can change your mind. You don't have to, here's what you want to be now and then be there 10 years from now. That's not necessarily
Right.
so. But,
Great advice.
so it was, again, you try to instill, or I try to instill,
All right.
values along the way, along with imparting some football. And when we're talking about shining lights, and we spoke about this earlier, but one of the shining lights for me as a contemporary or a gentleman that I coached with was this Al Vetter, who was the head coach at Fayetteville Manlius, and,
Mhm.
and we worked, a number of different football camps
Camps,
together. And he said, Gino, football's a simple game. He said, there's coaches that make it difficult. And I always remembered that.
Could be a lot of truth in
You
that.
know what? I always remember that because
Right.
there is a lot of truth to that.
Yep.
And basically I relate to people just recently. Look what the Seahawks did.
Oh,
They
yeah.
very fundamentally sound.
Very so.
And they were very victorious. They were
Yeah, absolutely.
very victorious.
Yeah. Gina, you also had a lot of proud moments in your life. Could you share some of the moments in your life that you feel quite a bit of pride in? So.
Well, I think first and foremost, I'm very proud of my family,
Mm-hmm.
beginning with my wife and and obviously my
Right.
parents, and my siblings, who, so
Right.
I'm proud of all of that.
Sometimes it's hard to put it into one. Yeah.
And normally I don't get stuck for words.
Oh, that's all right.
But here there, I guess there's so many great and important moments, starting with the day I married my
Right.
wife Maxine.
Smart choice. Jim.
Thank you. Many people have told me that,
Smart choice.
and now I'm getting a little unsettled because
Oh, I didn't
they
mean to
said,
do
"No,
that
is
to you.
that your no? Is that your daughter now? Is that your?"
Oh,
Referring to my my wife, and I said, "Hey, I'm getting a little unsettled." Like, no, but and then with the birth of each child, and watching each of them go on and succeed in their own way,
right.
those are all very proud moments.
Absolutely.
And as I say, there's just so many of them. Obviously, proud of our accomplishments at Port Barron. I'm proud of the kids that were part of what we tried to do. they were just, and I'm proud of the fact that, I have three coaches that started with me that coaching at the college level.
Right. No, that's,
It's Dan McNeil is the head coach of Cortland. Eddie Zaloom was just retired, the head coach at Worcester Tech, Worcester, Massachusetts. And there's Mike Hoyt, who is down in Maryland. I believe it's Westminster.
that's commendable.
So,
That's great.
They were.
Yep.
So, and of course, Ron Crowell, who's been with me for 25 years.
Good guy.
In fact, he's a great guy. When they dedicated the field to me, they also dedicated the press box very, justifiably, and they should have, to Ron Crowell.
Right.
So Ron had been with me for 25 odd years. So he was
Instrumental.
instrumental.
Yeah.
And again, talking about proud moments, watching some of the gentlemen that played for me go on and succeed in all walks of life.
All right.
That's
got to give you a great
Yeah,
feeling.
they've gone on,
Yep.
to be vice presidents of
Yep.
companies, owners of companies. It's
gotta give you a good feeling,
and
Gino.
locally here too.
Sure.
Lawyers,
Yep.
doctors.
Gino, you, like myself, you've lived in Auburn all these years, and just two questions for you. What would you like best of Auburn? And if there's one change you could make in Auburn, what would that change be? Tough question.
No, that's thought-provoking. That's thought-provoking. What I really love about Auburn is the environment, the people that you come into contact with, just the entire setting. And there's just, so much, the fiber of the city is such that, and I saw this when we were with United Way.
Right.
People were just so giving.
Yep.
And not just Auburn, because we traveled to the county. And the people were just so giving. They just came forward and gave. And really all you have to do is look around. When somebody's in great need or is in
Yep.
need, someone is stepping up.
To help out.
And that, that's a great thing.
It's a good thing.
That's a great thing about Auburn. What would I change? I guess wherever you go, you get small minds thinking small things. And, Auburn, gives you nothing. There's nothing here. There's nothing to do. And again, it's probably a 2%. I don't believe that this
Right.
encompasses
Yep.
everyone. But I suppose if that, needed, and I'm sure there's probably other people say, well, how about. But, I would like to focus on the positive. It's just a great community.
I totally
Great-
agree with you.
Yeah, a great community
Yep.
to live, and you see people coming back.
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
see people coming back here. Here's where I grew up, and
They have some strong roots here. They
yeah,
really
here-
do.
here's
Yeah.
what I love here.
Yep.
So, Ormie, it's certainly been a great run.
All right.
Yeah,
Gino, I think everybody should have a run like you have.
Well,
Seriously.
thank you. No,
That would be my wish for him, because you've had a great run. You really have.
It's a great run, and the thing I really reflect back on is, here I am, a little kid, and I laugh.
Right.
This is a story I've got to tell you. I laugh because my grandson, one of my grandsons in Atlanta, just started kindergarten. And Jack comes home and asks his dad, he says, no, or tells his dad, he says, you know, Dad, I think I'd like to be a teacher. And about a week later, he says, you know, Dad, I think I'd like to be a principal. And Jason is telling me that, I'm laughing, I'm saying, you know, when I was that age, and we had chickens in the, you know, and in those days you could have them,
Right,
you know, in the backyard and all.
right.
And one of my, you know, chores that come home from school, you know, get the eggs out of the chicken coop and all. And I says, Jason, I says, my goal was to be a chicken farmer, or, you know, I kind of got, you know, was impressed with the sanitary, you know, guys that picked up, you know, the
Right.
waste.
Something you'd like to
every
do, you
day.
think.
And I says, and there's nothing wrong with either one of
Right.
these, but those were my goals.
They're pretty
Yeah,
simplistic
yeah,
goals, yeah.
And again, it was a very uncomplicated life, you know,
Yeah.
that I grew, that I was, you know, that I lived in, and you know, I guess about the worst thing I did was I had convinced a little girl next door to eat this red hot pepper that my father grew, you know, trying to tell her that it was candy. And of course, you know, got in big trouble.
I'm sure you
Not
did.
only my mother,
Yeah.
but her mother. I remember hiding behind the barn. but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But, you know, it was...
One thing for sure, we grew up in the best of times.
yes, you know, in my opinion...
Everybody says that, but
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, no,
it's
in my
very
opinion,
sincere,
it
yeah.
was, and certainly a very uncomplicated
you're right.
period of time. You know, you had there were parameters by, you know, obviously your parents expected you home at, you know, this time, that
Right.
time,
Yep.
you know, and you had to do this, you had to do that, you had to, you know, sometimes,
Toe the mark,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't, you know, I really want to do this like any kid, but
right,
here's, you know, their expectations.
right.
And again, as they say with my parents, it wasn't, well, you know, why don't you think about, you know, playing baseball, or why don't you think about
Right.
playing soccer, about, you know, football, or none of that was, you know, just
Right.
making sure that, you know, we were good, solid people and food was
Well,
on the table.
They obviously did that, Gino. 'cause
Yes, they did.
you've
Yes,
been
they
a-
did.
A good, solid person, so.
Yes, thank you. Yes, they
You
did.
contribute a lot to this community. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. so.
Thank you.
Gino, September 6th was a big, big night in your life. It was when they honored you, when Weedsport played Port Barn, and 5,000 people showed up to honor you, and I think it should have been 105,000, to be honest with you, because you're that kind of person. But maybe you want to tell us what that night meant to us, or to you, I should say.
Well, only it really evoked great emotion. I was very, not only honored, but also very humbled, you know, by it all. And obviously, to have great things like that occur, there's always others involved, you know, and especially with football, there's the administration that was very supportive. The coaching, I had some 22 head coaches over the year. Ron
Wow.
Crowell was a big one who was with me for 25 years or more. And obviously, the very best were the kids.
Didn't you tell me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but didn't you tell me that some of those kids came all the way from Florida, from Rhode Island to Florida?
Yes,
to attend
they.
That's amazing.
And then that was another thing that really captured my emotions.
It would,
um,
sure.
We had guys that came from, as again, Rhode Island all the way down to Florida and
Right.
Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. You know, it's not like, well, let's take a Sunday afternoon ride.
Right.
They came
A
from
distance.
distances, and there were a number of
They remembered that guy that made him run an extra 10 laps, right?
Guys that came back, yeah. And so that was, as they say, it was great. It was great. I was able to have, my entire family in attendance with every one of the grandkids. My brother Bruno, my sister-in-law, Ginny also from Florida.
Right.
And a lot of other, as they say, people that came from distances.
Right.
So again, it was very humbling, but honored, and I'm thankful to the good Lord for the great things He's given me.
Well
I
deserved,
guess
Gino.
I can't,
Well deserved.
I can't state it in any other way.
The only negative thing that happened that night was Dave Gould said it cost him a fortune in overtime payments to his deputies. Because I guess they had all of the time controlling that crowd. So that's because they like you. So.
That's cute.
Yep.
That's yeah. No,
Well, this,
again, very, very emotional.
this has been fun, and I thank
Ormie,
you very much, Gino, for doing this.
Thank you.
I can't think of a better guy to open up the
And
program
you know
with.
what?
So. Gino, we've been here before and done this, but thank you very much for being our very first guest here. And I'd like to thank all you folks out there for watching our program, and we hope to see you the next time around on Talkin Sports. Gino, once again, we want to thank you for being here today and being a very first guest of our program, and we hope you tuners, you people that are out there that are tuned in.
We'll say, tuners. Tuners are people that tune in.
My tongue got untuned.
That's all right.
We're going to show bloopers at the end, too, with the red hot chili peppers. Okay, ready, Ormie? So start again. That was real good. Until you blew it.
I don't know if I can finish this up or not.
No, you're fine. Ready?
Oh, pal, we can't take, no, you got that.
You can't talk over me. Okay, go. Ready? Ready to go? Put your hand up. No, start right from there again. And
Gino, thank you so very much for being our first guest on Talkin Sports in Auburn. So we appreciate it very much, and I hope you tuners.
okay.
You said viewers.
Man, oh man, oh
Viewers. Viewers. We hope you folks out there enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time on Talkin Sports.
You might have to.
You might have to do an audio.
When I get something up here, it don't leave me.
Put on his pants.
That's not what your teacher said. So let's.
No more.
Okay.
No more.
So we'll start again with Gino. Hand on Gino. That was good.
If Gino finishes up.
Okay, ready? And just nice and relaxed now, Ormie.
Yeah, I'm going to try.
You can do it. Nice enough. Ready? And
Gino, thanks again. We appreciate you being our first guest on our Talkin' Auburn in Sports, and we hope you viewers out there enjoyed this, and we hope to see you the next time around.
that's pretty good.
It's better than tuners. Beats tuners.
Gino, thanks for being our great to have you on. You were a great guest, and then by that time you turn to the camera and say, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Talkin Sports. Because you're saying like Talkin Auburn Sports, and
I know.
let's get the title right. You are the host. Okay, ready? Just relax. You're fine. You're fine, Ormie. Ready? Go to Gino one more time and go.
Gino, you're our very first guest, and we really appreciate it. You did a great job, and we'd like to thank you viewers out there for watching us, and we hope you tune in to us again. So.
Talkin Sports. Talkin Sports.
Talkin Sport. Do you know something? I'm serious, I have a mental gap with that. I don't know, it doesn't flow to me, but I don't know why, but
We know.
I know. Nothing's flowing through here either, I'm telling you.
So this has been great. It's a great show.
I-
Let's just try it one more time. I have one I can use. I can use that one because then I can come out.
Oh,
and
come here,
say,
come here, come here. I want you to write this out for me.
Right now.
I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time with this one. I'm not kidding
Okay, just say,
you. Just say,
thank you, Gino. So you do the thank you, Gino.
thank you, Gino.
for-
Thank
for
you,
being
Gino,
first.
for being first, being our first guest.
And then you turn to camera,
Turn, turn.
okay, and say, and thank you, folks, for watching.
I'm gonna have to go home and practice this like about 40 times, Steve.
We are gonna have to do a few things like this, so.
Oh my God
Watching
Almighty!
Talkin
I can't
Sports.
believe it.
Thank you folks for watching Talkin Sports. And, see you next time.
I might have to read it, just so you know that.
Well, just hit it like
Okay.
that. I think you'll be fine. Okay, ready?
I think the big thing is just
Yeah.
to see you next time on Talking Sports, with that line.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we rolling okay?
We are rolling now.
Gino, thanks again for being our very first guest, and thank you all out there for watching and being.
That's okay.
You got it.
That's okay. You were going really good.
My problem is I start to look down at this to see what the hell I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm better at ad-libbing, but I
Okay,
can't.
just add letter. Let's try
Okay,
ad-lib.
okay.
Start with Gino though.
Gino, we've been here before and done this, but thank you very much for being our very first guest here. And I'd like to thank all you folks out there for watching our program, and we hope to see you the next time around on Talkin' Sports.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
I don't know if it was beautiful or not, but it got done.
That was really
Jeez.
good. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You're great.
No, I'm not, Steve. I'm a pain